Welcome to this week's episode of the Author Collaborative. As always, I'll be talking to an author whose book I have recently read and enjoyed. And my guest for this week is somebody who's coming on this season for the second time and with her second book. She came for the first time during the season with her debut book, and this time she's coming with her second book. And I'm very excited to talk to her. She has written a book in the children's literature section, genre, and I have read the book. This is the book. We are going to discuss this book, her previous book, what her journey as an author has been like so far, and it's going to be a very interesting episode. Do stay tuned. Okay, Lalitha is already here. Let me quickly invite her. Hi, Lalitha. I've sent you a request. See if you received it. Yeah, Lalitha. So nice to see you. So nice to have you again. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
Lovely to be back again. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Now you are. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a little lag in that 1 or 2 seconds, but yeah, now it's okay. Yeah. And congratulations on your second book. I was just telling everyone that, you're coming on the show twice in the same season. So you have read a book from me. From in this season, I'm focusing on my book, My Jeans Fit Well, but you have already read it, and you now read a new book, so you had to read a different book by me.
Definitely.
So, before we start the episode, can you briefly introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Sure. So my name is Lalitha. I'm a writer. I used to be a finance manager before this. Then I decided that, I just want to write all the time. So I write blogs, I write stories. I published a parenting humor memoir. And I've also published a middle grade fiction with Scholastic called Kanmani & Co., which is a book we're discussing today. So yeah, I love the written word, and writing is my oxygen. And I'm so happy to be here today.
Yes, and I'm so happy to be hosting you again, and also with a book in a completely different genre. We'll talk about that. Now, I have read two books by you in two very different genres, and I have enjoyed both of them equally. What I really found as a standout feature in this particular book, we are going to discuss this book, Kanmani and Company. If you have the paperback, can you also show it to the audience? Yes, so this is the book that we are discussing today. This is Lalitha's second book, and what stood out really for me is that I grew up on a healthy dose of Enid Blyton books, and while I was reading the book, I was constantly reminded of her books because there is a nostalgia attached to the books we grew up with, and we're constantly thinking back to those books which I read in my childhood, especially because the children are of that age when I came across Enid Blyton books. That age itself. So, my
No.
now is it
Yeah.
okay now?
Yes.
Yes. I'm so sorry. I was getting another call. That's why the yeah. So this is the age group of the children in this book is such that I was that age when I started my reading journey. So that was also kind of very nostalgic, and the way you have dealt with the various, I don't want to call them struggles, but challenges of childhood, everyday challenges that children go through in and out of school. You have dealt with them very beautifully, and there is also something that that is very contemporary in the book, because you have talked about inclusivity, you have talked about sustainability, and all those problems which were probably not as relevant when we were growing up. They are very relevant now, and we are focusing so much on them now. So I really like that there is a nostalgia attached, but there is also a contemporary factor to it. So very nicely done, Lalita.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
On that note, I'm going to quickly read out from the book.
Yeah.
I am going to read out from the first chapter itself because we don't want to give away too much, right?
Yeah.
So once again, this is the cover of the book, and I'm going to read out from the first chapter, which is the stamp of approval. And quickly, I want to show everyone a few of the illustrations that are a part of this book. There are these illustrations across the book where we are, looking at the snippets of the characters and what they are going through, what is happening in that particular chapter.
So special call out to Rahil Mohsin. He is the illustrator of the book.
Yes, and very wonderfully done. I like the rustic feel of the illustrations also.
I was very clear that, when the brief that I wanted something like very arcane Narayan style.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's the kind of vibe that the illustrations are giving. And also because of the setting of us, because we are placed in a small town village. So yeah, very, very RK Narayan vibes also. Thank you for reminding me that. I forgot about that in my review also. Okay, so this is how the book starts. The first chapter is titled Stamp of Approval. Bear raids chocolate factory at night and devours chocolates. Kanmani read the news article out loud to her grandparents, Tata and Pati. When I make sweets, your grandfather plunders the kitchen at night, just like this bear. Pati chuckled. Pati's streets are out of this world, Tata confessed. Their conversation was interrupted by beeping noises. It was Tata's relic of a phone. A message from Chennai, he exclaimed. Is it from Amma and Appa? Kanmani demanded, her voice brimming with excitement. She grabbed the mobile from Tata's hand, hoping for good tidings from her parents. Is it from Amma? It is from Amma. What does she say? They are slowly settling in. Appa has started his new job and Amma sends us her love. A few months ago, Kanmani's parents had moved to Chennai for work while she stayed behind in Maripuram with her grandparents. She would join them later. From Amma's recent message, it didn't seem that Kanmani's trip to the city would be anytime soon. Are you in a hurry to leave us? Pati teased, noticing her crestfallen face. Of course not, Pati. Kanmani wrapped her grandmother in a tight hug. Her grandparents meant the world to her. Ati was always the busy bee, and even arthritis couldn't dampen her indomitable spirit. Tata was just as special. He spoke less, but he was Kanmani's rock, someone she could depend on anytime, every time. Much as she missed her parents, she knew living Maripuram wouldn't be easy. She was born here and had spent all her 9 years in it. Maripuram derived its name from goddess Maryatha, the presiding deity of the village temple. Kanmani adored her village's lush greenery, winding alleys, temple, lore, legends, school, and most importantly, her friends. Read the rest of the article. What happened to the chocolate loving bear? Tata demanded, interrupting her musings. He must have been caught and the chocolate saved. What else? Our granddaughter has to pack her bag now. School reopens tomorrow, Pati reminded. Kanmani couldn't wait for the new school year to begin. She kept her calendar paper wrapped new notebooks and school bag in the prayer room, seeking Mariata's blessings. So this is how the chapter begins. This is one part of the chapter which has ended, and now Kanmani is going to school. What happens there? There are a whole array of characters we are introduced to in the school. So that's what makes the book interesting. The lead character we have already seen, and the grandparents that she's living with, we are introduced to already. Now, in the next part, we are introduced to Kanmani's friends and her batchmates and her school friends.
Lovely. Thank you so much for reading this piece.
Okay, so based on my reading, Lalitha, I had a few questions for you if you would be kind
Sure.
enough to answer those. I'm
Sure.
just pulling up the questions. Give me a second.
Okay.
Yes, so my first question to you is I was talking about how you have made the story contemporary. So that's what I want to talk about first. We've
Yeah.
included themes like inclusivity, literacy, and empathy, and it's very gently and sensitively done. Why were these particular issues important for you to explore?
I just think that the world needs more of it right now. And children are like, I mean, they grow up reading all kind because there's so much of exposure, whether it's social media or at their schools. Every day it's the same old story, right? You're reading about violence and war. And I genuinely think that if you don't shape the thought process now, what kind of world are they going to grow up in, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, can we not recreate the magic of childhood, but don't make it like what my daughter says, boomer speak. Like I don't want like it to be all about that time, that age. So why not that magic of childhood married to the contemporary? That was the whole idea behind it. And it's like, how do I bring themes of inclusivity or sustainability in a more rustic kind of setup where there are challenges? And I think one of the main thought processes behind having a rustic setup is how do I ensure a tech free kind of environment, which is
Hmm.
also magical in its sense, right? Like, I mean, children are solving problems without devices, without the internet, without mobile phones. They're coming up with their own solutions. Whether it's teaching Party to write or solving a plastic problem, they're coming up with their own solutions. And when I first thought of this idea, I thought if I make it into an urban kind of setup, I'll need a lot of,
Hmm.
it a lot of props, like tech props or whatever, and it didn't seem to fit in. I wanted a more idyllic kind of environment, and that really amplifies the issue. Like, okay, this is the problem. How do we solve it? It's not just about like a social media broadcast or some kind of awareness campaign. It's like hands-on, on the ground. How do we deliver this message, and how does it land with the children in a different setting? That was the idea.
Lovely. And I do have a follow up to that, which is the idea of children creating change in their own small ways comes through very strongly across the book. So, what message did you want young you readers to take away from that?
You're never too small to make a difference. You can always, I mean, doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter. It's just the idea that matters. It's the thought that matters. It's the empathy in your heart that matters. There's nothing that you, nothing stopping you from chasing your dreams, whether you're, even if you're differently able, like Srijit, you can still play football. There are still options and opportunities. Maybe you didn't get the chance to study. So what? There's no
Yeah.
age to start learning, and it's just about being open. What I feel is, what I've noticed, especially in my daughter or in myself, is like when we're younger, we don't take things at face value. We question, we're curious, we're more inquisitive, we want to take initiative. But as we grow older, we learn to be more accepting. We're a bit more jaded. We're like, okay, let's just go with the flow, and we settle. Whereas when you're young, we don't. And that was what I really wanted to bring out, that you know what, folks, come on, we can change the world, we can do something different, we can bring about that kind of empowerment. And that was the whole idea behind children solving problems and children resorting to unconventional methods, sometimes failing, sometimes succeeding. And I also wanted to bring that spirit of resilience, but that's typically seen in a closer community, in a close knit community, and not so much in an urban setup. So then a community setup where everybody knows everybody's name, everybody's problem is their problem, and how they all come together. It's a temple festival or some other function, they come together and celebrate together. So that was the whole thought process, to open children to the thinking, right? That we can solve problems, we can think differently, we are not dependent on devices, and there's a strong spirit of resilience that we can build.
And I just it popped up in my head how important it is for the younger generation when it comes to such things to have a support system around them from the elders, which is also
Absolutely.
something I think we struggled with. Now that millennials and generation before that have become parents, uh, we are kind of more open to children, also treating them as equals and being open to accepting their ideas and supporting
Yeah.
them in doing these things. So how much do you think that matters in writing a book like this?
So in terms of community, I think, look, times have changed. Families are much smaller for whatever reason. I mean, both parents are working, and you don't have that leisurely kind of interwoven space. Like, I mean, in my apartment, I think the next door neighbor just knows me as my daughter's mom. I don't think they even know my first name, right? So that's how, and you can't really blame anyone. It's just the pace of urbanization and the pace at which things are moving, right? But I mean, it's a great thing to have, particularly like, there's always someone to fall back on. Like if your child is going through something, if not you, then they can find their grandparent, their uncle, aunt. They grow up with their cousins, they learn to share, fight, whatever, right? And that really shapes, because I grew up in a family like that, and that really shapes your personality, right? And and it's like, okay, there's no mollycoddling. If you have a problem, deal with it. That's what you literally told. Deal with
Yes.
it. Okay, and it toughens you. It kind of toughens you, and plus you have bonds and your people. You can even today I can call my cousin and talk to them, right? But that's not so much the case with the more smaller knit families. So yeah, again, it's a mixed bag. It's something that we deal with. It's something that we try. If not, so you have the families that you're born in and you have the families that you find, right? So maybe you create your own community around the people, maybe library, a book club, maybe in your own, like, I don't know, apartment complex. There are other children who are like playing together. So that spirit of community is extremely important. It really shapes the child so that, they know that they've got people to talk to, particularly when I see when they grow older, right? They need someone to share, they need someone to appreciate them, they need someone to root for them. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for answering that. Which brings me to my second question, which is that in the book you have also talked about a lot of festivals and community events and events in the school itself also. So the book celebrates everyday adventures from schools to festival. How did
Yeah.
you decide which moments to include in the story?
So I was just writing these. Actually, this. this collection was much bigger. Only the publisher wanted a smaller word count because they wanted illustration. So there were more festivals, there were more such situations. Only I just kind of pruned it down to, set the stage for introducing these characters, and in future there are more stories and you'll see it. A lot of this is inspired. So when I was young, so I grew up in Kerala, but we had our Kuldevi temple, or our goddess, family goddess temple in Tirunelveli in Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
So then once a year, our grandparents and all the cousins, we'd drive down to, my uncles would drive down to the family temple. And that trip is something that's very fresh in my memory. Green fields, windmills, wind blowing, villagers, like you're traveling, and kites and everything. So it was something that I still remember. And we'd go to the goddess temple. So Mariata is a form of goddess Durga, right? So our family temple was a Durga temple. So then we would visit every year, that, and there'd be a pond with lilies. So in a way, I was recreating all of that. I was like, you know what? I don't know when I'll ever go there again, but those memories are still fresh. A pond with dragonflies and lilies and lotuses, and I wanted to bring that memory alive. And that is why I said, okay, fine, this will come, this will be there. And if there's a village, then there's a village festival, there's a village school, and then other stuff. Like, for example, I taught my grandmother how to sign her name. Right. So then that came, yeah. So Party in the book is modeled after my grandmother. So, and I had a very close bond with my grandparents, Tata and Party. And so they have found a place in my book, and they are some Kanmani's grandparents, right? So it was a lot of the experiences that I lived in my childhood, which I wanted to bring alive through these pages. And I mean, there are many more. I don't know. It's like whatever came to my mind first and fit in my story, right? Because I have to give a story format. So, okay, if there's a festival that I really enjoy, if there's a food I really enjoy, because like Subru, I love laddus. Love, 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 love laddus. So, stuff like that. So, each of these characters has a piece of me. Sita is so me because drama queen, and then I love sweet Subru. So, and I'm very determined like Srijit. So each character has a particular trait of me, and a lot of these stories are based on childhood experiences. For example, I think there's one where there was a ring lost. It happened like one of my aunts lost, and we were all busy searching, and then they found out where it was. A lot of it is just lived in experience, slightly exaggerated, and also fit to a contemporary theme with a way to solve a problem. Like, okay, sachets, okay, let's see how we solve it. So, that kind of framework, problem solution kind of framework. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, you were just mentioning that you had written many more events and festivals in the initial draft.
Yeah.
So, take us through the process of elimination then. How did you decide what to remove? Because that must have been
Very
a
tough. That is very, very, very tough, because killing your babies is the biggest, the hardest thing, right? So it was a hard call. The publishers said, we make the offer, but we can't do these many words. We have illustrations. You have to take care of the page count. So reduce the number of stories, or choose your best stories and give it to us. So then, yeah, I had to go through the stories, and it was also about character arcs, right? If I take out, because while these are separate stories, they're also episodic. Each character is growing throughout. So if I take out something randomly, it won't make sense later on. So then I had to play around a bit. I had to reduce the word counts of individual chapters. I had to pick and choose. And there were some characters that totally got eliminated. For example, Sita has a younger sister called Bhavani, right? She had a whole chapter in the older book. I realized she can't come here, so then I had to remove it. I had to rewrite some parts. Madhavan, the coconut climber, he had a big adventure that got cut out again. So, but who knows, maybe in the future, if I write a sequel, I can include all of this in.
Or you could continue the series on your blog. Some authors also do that. Like, extra snippets of from the book itself, you could publish on your blog, or as part of, your newsletter. That's also something fun.
Like Sita's a big fan of dialogue Duraraj, right? In the
Yeah.
original book, there's a chapter where he actually comes to Maripuram to shoot a song.
Oh,
And she
wow.
goes totally gaga, but then that story kind of stuck out. It didn't really lead to any character growth. So I said, I'm going to keep this for the future. Let's see what happens in the future. If there is another book, then yeah.
I would love to read the cutout chapters, actually, honestly, and I hope you either you put them in your newsletter or on your blog, or in a following book, if that happens, sending it out to the universe that a sequel happens.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I do have a follow up to this, which is through the mix of mischief and meaning, how did you ensure that the lessons came through without feeling preachy?
That was a bit of a push and pull, because if you ask my daughter, she says that I'm the chief resident nag in town. But all daughters say that, so I'm not the only one. So I think it's a bit of show don't tell, honestly, to say that if you tell a child, okay, don't eat too much chocolate, it
Hmm.
comes as an act. But if you show them examples, oh look, this person ate chocolate and look, they've got cavities. Hey, let's do something. Let's make a healthy milkshake, right? That's also sweet. That's also healthy. Then you show them and you lead by example. So it's a bit of a show don't tell kind of a exercise only. Again, I do think that some parts I was telling a bit and tell them don't do this, don't do that. But it's just that when you shape the story around a certain premise and then you put in a bit more of details and humor, the nag part or the nag quotient kind of reduces a little. So I handle a lot of it with humor and with heart. But yeah, and if the message lands well and good, but again, each child would perceive it differently. Some people think, oh no, but you're saying don't do this, don't do that. Some would say, oh yeah, this is fun. But the main objective of this is have fun while learning. If you have one takeaway and you're still having fun and you're still laughing, then that's okay. Yeah, that's my job done.
Thank
Because
you for sharing that. Yeah, I think that's important. The delivery of the message is important. How you convey is not always that important. The message should
yeah,
be conveyed. So thank you for sharing that. Then I think that's something that all authors and writers must keep in mind. What is the goal with which, or your objective with which you are writing a piece of content? And if that gets delivered well, it doesn't matter how you are doing it.
yeah.
Okay, I think that brings me to the end of the questions I had for you. You have also read my book, which is
Ah,
something different than what you have read previously from me. I'm very excited to know your thoughts.
okay. So, okay, you want me to do the reading first, or shall we?
You
I'll do
can
the
do
sharing.
anything first. If you have the paperback, if you can show it to the audience, because today, since I read your paperback, I don't have my Kindle with me. So,
I don't. I have a Kindle with me, so this is.
yes, this is
I
the
took a
cover.
photo because otherwise it keeps flipping around, so I took a photo.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, and you can also see it behind me, so it's okay. We are good.
So what I love is because I am a very dramatic person. I am like Sita in the book that you have read. So I really like guys. So it's a romance. I wouldn't call it a rom com, but it's a breezy romance. Um, and the character is very filmy. The girl Gayatri, she's in love with Varun, but Gayatri is very filmy. And if I had to read out something, it would be the prologue because that has a DDLJ moment which is kind of internalized throughout the book, right? So
Yes.
yeah, let's start with that. So I'll go ahead and read Manali's Love and Melodrama, Love Triangle. Life can be boring or exciting depending on how you choose to live each moment. Gayatri Kulkarni. Okay, that's the opening quote. Ja Simran ja, जी ले अपनी जिंदगी. The girl spoke louder than the actor who uttered the dialogues on screen. Her voice carried so much emotion that one would think it was her own life story being portrayed in the movie. She was bouncing in her seat and cheered for the female actor who began chasing the train, which was slowly moving away from the platform. Come on, Simran, run faster. Yes, girl, you can do this. Her enthusiasm made those around her look at her either in amusement or irritation. As soon as the actress was able to board the train and be in the arms of her beloved, she jumped out of her seat. She whistled, she clapped, and she cheered, blowing kisses towards the on screen couple as they set off together in the sunset. The end credits of the film rolled in alongside a song from the movie. Most of the crowd had begun to disperse, but the girl was looking at the screen with wide, unblinking eyes. Gayu, it's over now, let's move. Another girl, who seemed to be her companion for the movie, tugged at her arms and made to drag her. No, Simi, please wait. This is my favorite bit. The screen showed a scene of mustard fields where the female protagonist comes running. Quick, go to the other end of the hall. Be my Raj for today, Simran. Gayu, seriously? Do we really have to do this? Wasn't coming to watch an almost 2-decade-old movie to a shady theatre like this enough? The girl merely folded her arms over her chest in response, while the off-screen Simran fumed. The other girl continued to look at the screen with anticipation. The things I do for you, Gayatri Kulkarni, seriously, I wouldn't be surprised if I ended up in jail someday. On the screen, the female protagonist had found the source of the sound that enticed her to the fields. It was a familiar tune of a mandolin she had come to associate with her beloved. Soon she spotted him. He stopped playing the mandolin and spread his arms wide, inviting her for an embrace. The girl shrieked at this moment and began running towards her friend, copying the movements of the female protagonist on screen, who ran into the arms of her darling. Both embraces, the on and off screen, were completed at the same time, and the screen went blank. Are we done, Miss Gayatri, or shall I say Miss Melodrama? Can we please go?
Thank
So
you
that
so
was,
much.
I love that scene because, as a 90s kid, I grew up watching DDLJ. So I know what this means and that emotional content, right? Like, okay, that scene is something that we all identify with, particularly the scene where she's running in the mustard field, that song, and that, the famous outstretched arm movement. All of that is something that we can really relate to.
Thank you so much for reading that out. And it's been a while I revisited the book. So thank you. It made me realize that, yeah, I can write, rom-coms well also. So thank you. Okay. Yeah, let's move on to the questions. I'm sure you also have a few
Yeah,
questions.
so I have my first question is this. So your book, as we've already established, is a nod to DDLJ. It's a tribute to DDLJ. It also has reference to many songs, and some of them are my favorite, like Kalla Gudiya, Pinga Tapur. So all of those are my favorite songs, and each page has some reference to some song. How did you choose which song was absolutely your favorite, or did you have a playlist? How did you curate this playlist? And also, why DDLJ? Why not some other movie? So why an iconic, I mean, a movie that has really been used and used and used. So why this movie? And how did you choose your song list?
Okay. Let's talk about DDLJ first. So when I was thinking of Gayatri's character, I have to first tell you that the Gayatri was a supporting character in the previous book. First of all, this is the second book in a series called Love Trials, and in the previous book, she was a supporting character.
Okay.
Initially, I had not thought about converting Gayatri and Varun's story into a full-fledged novel.
Huh.
I only had them as supporting characters in the first novel of the series. And in that particular book, I had already etched out a particular personality for Gayatri. I
Okay.
know that she is that, confident but dramatic girl. So that much was clear in my head. When that book did really well, and towards the end of that book, I have shown Gayatri and Varun's wedding as the ending scene of that book. And
Okay.
when that book did really well, and the readers came back to me and they said they wanted to know what happened with Gayatri and Varun because we are directly going to their wedding. We don't know what
Yeah.
happened in between.
Yeah.
So we wanted to know how their entire story culminated towards their wedding and what happened. So that kind of motivated me to focus on both the characters, Gayatri and Varun. Now, by this time, since I had already etched out their initial personalities for the first book, I knew that Gayatri was a dramatic person,
Yeah.
and that she has an affinity to Bollywood.
Okay.
She's a big Bollywood fan. That much was clear in my head. And in the first book, I had introduced Aisha's character in the prologue as doing something that later becomes a very important part of her personality growth.
Okay.
I shown her reading out a poetry during a poetry recitation competition in her school.
Yeah.
And here also, I wanted to show something similar that ultimately what happens in the prologue, is connected to what happens to her in the later chapters. So that was the initial idea I had in mind. And since I had to show her as somebody who is dramatic, but later some things happen in her life that make her a little mellowed, but still the dramatic part of her personality stays intact. So
Yeah.
that is the growth journey I wanted to show for Gayatri. And when that thought came in my head, I was like, I have to show her doing something which enhances the dramatic part of her personality and
Huh.
also shows her being a Bollywood fan.
Yeah.
So that idea was in my head that I have to show her enjoying a movie or maybe dancing to a song or something like that. But when
Yeah.
I thought of that, I was like, okay, but how do I have Varun see her like that during the prologue itself?
Yeah.
And that's when the thought came to me. I finalized on showing them not talking to each other, but at least Varun gets a glimpse of her and her dramatic side and being a Bollywood lover while they are, coincidentally sitting together and watching the same movie. And that,
Okay.
yeah. And after that, I thought of, I can't show a very recent movie because, that wouldn't connect later on. to their story. I wanted to
Yeah.
show a movie which is a cult classic and, from
Yeah.
the 90s during the time when
Yeah.
Gayatri and Varun both grew up. So I had to show a movie like that. And when
Hmm.
I thought of that, I was like, okay, but how can I show her watching that movie in this time, in the contemporary
The
time?
Maratha Mandir.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
when I was like, oh, okay, there's only one movie which is also a 90s movie, but also is contemporary because it is still running in the theaters and doing so well even now. And that's how I zeroed down on DDLJ. And, that's how I connected it from the prologue towards the last chapters also, where, there's a big scene where Varun and Gayatri come together and they are
Huh.
watching the movie again together.
Okay. Okay. Very interesting.
And as for the playlist, again, I have to go back to the previous book because that's where, the idea of music being chords for the characters coming close together
Yeah.
initially started. Because in the first chapter, I was talking about Aisha moving to Bombay, and,
Okay.
it is through music and her love for poetry and dance equally
Yeah.
which brings her closer to both Abhi and Viren.
Oh.
And
Varun.
she's part. No, Aisha के लिए Viren है. So Viren is Nalini's brother. That's a
अच्छा
very
इसमें
small
तो
one.
आयशा के लिए अभी था ना तो दैट
हाँ,
वाज व्हाई.
हाँ. Viren is Nalini's brother,
Okay.
who's also one of the main characters in the first book. So
हाँ.
Aisha, Viren, and Abhi are the
इसमें
main
नली
characters.
लास्ट में आती ना शरद के
हाँ,
साथ.
हाँ, हाँ. So Viren is Nalini's brother, and he was part of the Triputi, as I call them, Trimurti of the first chapter, first book, which
Okay.
is titled Love Triangle. So yeah, in that book, I have used music not as much as I have used in the second book, but it was an element where the characters came closer because of the music around them, and I wanted to continue that particular idea in this book also, especially because Gayatri is shown as somebody who loves to dance, and dance is such an important part of her, personality and character growth also, because she becomes a choreographer and such a popular dancer later on
Yeah.
also. So that was important. And the first song that I chose was Pinga, and
Yeah.
we see her performing for a competition to that particular song. That was very important for me because she's a Maharashtrian girl.
Maharashtra. Yeah.
So I had to choose a song which is connected to her roots, and
Yeah.
also, yeah. So that was the first song that I chose, and after that, I think it became a part of my writing itself. Where as I was writing the chapters, the songs either came to me or either I googled them, and I tried to listen to songs which match the vibe of that particular chapter to
Yeah.
include more songs that were taking the story ahead also without feeling forced. For, for instance, there's one particular song that just popped into my head randomly because they are talking about celebrating Holi. And immediately I was like, okay, I can include a joke here which is talking about the song, do me a favor, let's play Holi. So that was like a spur of the moment thought. So, I think it also depends on how much you are into the story and how
Yeah.
much further you have progressed into your writing, because after a point it becomes very natural.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
that's how the process was.
So my next question is, all right, and this is a bone that I have to pick with you. You know why I have why I had a big issue with it, but I'm not giving a big twist. Like it's very emotional in places, probably a bit more emotional than your average rom-com. Like you expect breezy, happily ever after, comedy, but it does get a little heavier towards the end when you're talking about about the COVID pandemic and the lockdown and loss and grief and resilience, right? Was this a conscious decision because it's a departure from the genre and the fact that you brought in suddenly heavy emotional stakes? Was that a conscious decision and why?
So, two reasons for that. First reason is that I do want to write rom-com someday with a happily ever after, but this series particularly is not about that. The first book
Okay.
also has a very unconventional ending, which is why the series is called Love Trials.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all the books in this series, I had a clear thought in my head and clarity in my mind while writing them. Before even starting to write the stories, I had the clarity that
Yeah.
these do not have a happily ever after. I want to show the growth of the characters while they fall in love, and if by chance, they fall out of love, what is the reason for that and what impact that has on their personalities. So that
Yeah.
is the kind of journey I wanted to show for the characters, especially the three girls. For Aisha, Gayatri, and Nalini also. Nalini will come in the third book
Third
of
book.
the series. But yeah, she will also have a journey where, she experiences love, but it is under trial all the time. So that is why it's love trials.
Okay.
That clarity was always there in my head, that the books in this series would not have a happily ever after. It will be an unconventional ending for all the three girls.
Because
And
I was like, when I came to that point, I was like, huh? And then I messaged you immediately, why did you do this? Because I was invested, right? So I was like,
yeah,
what happened?
yeah, it comes very suddenly. I understand. There are a lot of people who came back to me who said that the book should have ended at their honeymoon. Why?
Yeah,
Why?
yeah. And I thought it's an epilogue chapter next year.
Yeah, so yeah, in fact, one of my very good friends, Sukana, and even Sid, a very good dear friend, they have a permanent grudge against me for doing this to Varun's character.
I am on their team as well. Sorry, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, so yeah, they are going to forever hate me for changing the ending as per my will and not giving them a happily ever after. So yeah, there's a section of readers like you who's not happy about
That would have
the
been okay even if they just parted ways. They fought, they part was okay. This one was very hard for me to digest.
totally understandable. But why I will tell you that was necessary in my opinion, and why I feel it is justified, is because Gayatri is a different character from Aisha. And she's a very different character from Nalini also. For her, it has always been uh, growing up in the shadows of somebody who's a male. First, it was her father, then
Hmm.
always there is an elder brother who's also like, a shadow over her all the time. And then Varun comes into her life, who's also like that. I wanted to show her journey in the absence of these characters also, and how she learns to deal with life without their presence and their support. So her father's loss comes first, and how she deals with it is immediately she goes to Varun for support. So, and I wanted to show if something happens to Varun, or if their relationship doesn't work out, how does she deal with that? So that kind of journey was necessary in my head to show Gayatri's character arc and growth, and how she learns to grow out of the shadows and grow out of things that the society and the family and her friends expect her of her. Because
Okay.
it is only after what happens with her and Varun that she is finally able to embrace her entrepreneurial side related to dancing also.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the justification in my for both the books. In fact, even in the third book, I know how the book ends even before I have started it. So in all the series in the books, it was like, yeah, the other chapters are just a means to an end for me.
Okay. Okay. So I think
Okay.
that's my long form. So the rapid fire, do we start now
Yes,
or?
yes. We will start the rapid fire. So how we'll do this, Lalita? You are already aware because you have been on this season twice now. We'll do this back and forth. One question I ask, one question you
Yeah.
ask. Shall I
Yeah.
begin? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. My first question to you in the rapid fire is
Hmm.
the character of Palani.
Yeah.
I am not sure if you have read the Harry Potter series,
I
but
have.
oh, awesome. Then I know where the inspiration comes from. Okay. Because this character reminded me so much of Lee Jordan's character, who's, in the initial 4 or 5 books, he is the Quidditch commentator at
Okay.
Hogwarts.
Huh.
So I was very, like, okay, this reminds me of Lee Jordan because he used to do commentary like this only. Getting into trouble for saying sassy things while commenting. So,
Yeah.
if there is a crossover between Lee and Palani during a football match or a kabaddi match, or even like a Quidditch match, if Palani goes, if there is ever a crossover, so how would that situation unfold for you?
See, Parani is a very dangerous prankster. You equip him with magic. It's like giving a brick to a monkey and telling him not to throw. He'd go out of control. He'd probably unleash his frogs and transform them into eagles or something and unleash a lot of havoc on the Quidditch field. He'd have a field. I don't think he'd be commentating per se. He'd be doing a lot of mischief managed on the Quidditch field. And if Lee Jordan came to Maripuram, he would discover that there's no magic of Hogwarts kind, but there's a different kind of magic here. So he'll be able to, relive the magic of a pure childhood, for example. So I guess it's very, very different, and I couldn't even imagine such a crossover. I think that's a great question. I think both of them would bring that spunk and that mischief to their comments, but I don't. Yeah, I find it very hard to see Parni at Hogwarts and vice versa. I just, yeah, it's hard for me to imagine. But they've got both a lot of spirit and a lot of spunk, which they'll bring to their comments. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes, your turn.
One commonality between your book and mine is that we both have one drama queen. For me, it's Sita. For you, it's Gayatri. So, how easy or hard was it to write Gayatri? Was she inspired by you? Because one thing I noticed, her name is Kulkarni. He calls her Kullu. You're Manali. I have to make a connection, Kullu Manali. So, tell me, spill the tea.
Actually, no, Gayatri is very much unlike me. Firstly, the main reason is that she's a very good dancer. I mean, an accomplished dancer, I should say.
Yeah.
And I have two left feet. I cannot dance for the life of me. Even if somebody, it's like, gunpoint, I would not be able to save my life. I think they would shoot me. I would die. So that's one thing that I am very different from Gayatri in comparison. One
Yeah.
thing we do have in common is that our love for Bollywood and music is very similar.
Yeah.
But other than that, if I had to choose one of the girls from the series, I think I'm closer to Aisha than I am to Gayatri because she's a writer, she's a poet, and she writes so well. And of course, all her poetry comes from me. I have written it. Gayatri's dance moves and choreography is inspired. Aisha's poems are me. So I think I'm closer to
Aisha.
her in personality. But
Okay.
as for the name Kullu, I think it's a combination of because I didn't want Varun to call her Gayu. Everyone else calls her Gayu. So I was like, okay, let's go with her surname.
Yeah, it's a special rom-com
Yeah,
couple name.
yeah. So that's how. But no, I don't think Gayatri is someone I can relate to. Other than her love for movies, no. And even Varun is very different from my husband, so nothing inspired there as well. Okay, my next question to you is: if one chapter were told from Varam's point of view, the Varam is a very important character, I should say.
Yeah.
It's an animal cat character, a mischievous little kitten that's part of the gang, Kanmani and Company. So, if one chapter were told from her point of view, take us through a few passages or the whole chapter in short.
Okay, Varun is somebody who's very bossy. He's a loving cat, but he's very bossy. So it will be a chapter where, say, Kanmani is at school. He'll be sitting at home meowing, saying, "Oh my God, my human has neglected me. Doesn't she love me at all? Meow, meow." And she'll be like, he'd be like, "You know what? Let me go and find my mistress. Let me go and find Kanmani." And he would, like, walk into the school, and Kandaswamy sir would be like, "What are you doing here?" And Varam would be like, "Move away, you useless human. I want to find Kanmani. Go away." So that kind of attitude and swag and swagger, that's what Varam would bring to the table. And he'd be like, "Kanmani, you can come out of school. You should be looking after me. You don't need an education. You are my main assistant. I am your lord. Come and attend to me." That would be Varam's vibe.
Yeah. Oh, that would be really fun to read. I hope you do something with that idea.
Yeah,
I
I
would
mean, there are a lot of ideas. Yeah, manifesting, sending out to the universe, all the
Yes.
11.
Yes. Okay, your turn.
All right. So Mumbai plays an important role in the book, right? Like you have all these, even in the cover, I think it's called candies. You've got all these spots, right? Have you visited these spots? Do you have a connection to the city? How does it come alive in your book?
So the idea of using Mumbai as a character itself, again, it started from Aisha's journey uh,
Yeah,
in book one. So in book one, Aisha moves to Bombay from Chandigarh and
yeah.
at the age of 17 or 18, which is also when I moved from my hometown to Mumbai. So Aisha's
Okay.
journey again is very relatable for me from that level because I moved from my hometown around the same
Yeah,
age as Aisha did. And in that book, I have shown her discovering Bombay the way I did, spot by spot, and the discovering learning how to navigate the local trains and buses
yeah,
and everything else. It is very much the way I explored
yeah.
the city. And in the second book, I was trying to show it from a local's point of view because Gayatri is somebody who's born and brought up in Mumbai. She's not somebody who has come from outside.
Yeah.
And in this, I had to show places where, there is a familiarity. It's not through the lens of somebody who's new. So I
Yeah.
wanted to show places where which are familiar to the characters, which are familiar to the people who might have also just visited it once or twice. They won't be new. People have definitely heard of the places. So that was a conscious choice. In the first book, I was trying to you know include places which might be new for the readers and for Aisha as well. But in the second book, I wanted to focus on the iconic spots where
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to give much of an introduction. So I continued that journey. And uh, as you can see, the places that I have included, they form a major part of the character's journey also.
Hmm.
Like, there are places where Varun and Gayatri are meeting for the first time, and,
Yeah.
that becomes a very important part of their love story later on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or when, Gayatri is going someplace for the choreography, that becomes a
Yeah.
later important place for her character's journey as a choreographer. So that was the kind of, thought process in my head. If I am including a place in the book, it has to
Yeah.
have some substance in the character's journey.
Significance in their journey. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
that was the idea. Okay. My next question to you is, which
Ah.
character was the easiest to write, and which one was the most challenging, or surprised you the most, and why?
Think the easiest character to write was Sita. Again, the drama element. She
Yeah.
reacts in many ways like how I would, oh my God, oh Mariata. So it's very similar how we react, how we romanticize stuff. So, and how we love song and dance. So, right. Again, I can't dance to save my life, but I'm also a film yeah, aficionado and I love music and all that stuff, right? So I think I'm very, that way, writing Sita was very easy. She's a bit funny, she's a bit dramatic, she's also very loyal. So that was easy to write. For me, the hardest character to write was actually Srijit. He is a
Oh.
character
Hmm.
differently able.
Hmm.
So I have to write him with sensitivity. I didn't want to make him like a caricature or just like a plot point. I wanted him to play an important role and I wanted to do it with sensitivity because he thinks he is capable. So that had to come out despite his disability. So, and I had to do a bit of research like, okay, what should I say? What are the words I can use and what I cannot use? And obviously, again, manifesting that I write another book with him having the center stage in that story in future because
Oh,
I think we really need more inclusive, like we need more heroes. Yeah, inclusive heroes. Yeah.
yes. Oh, yeah. That must have been challenging. Yeah, I like the way you picked the character. I'm sure it was very challenging to, write a character like Srijit, and that too with sensitivity. Yeah, that's very important.
And dignity, because he keeps saying that I think there's one chapter where Kanmani tries to patronize him or tries to help him out, and he says, "No, I don't want your sympathy. I am at par and I've got brains. I can overcome any challenge. You don't have to worry about me." And then she realizes her mistake and she steps back.
Yes. Okay. Your turn.
Oh, okay. Um, so you use songs in your book. So if you had to use a song for Kanmani and Co, what would it be?
Oh, wow. There's a song from the movie Veer Zara. Uh, it talks about the country. Aisa Desh Hai Mera.
Ah,
Dhar Ambar Neela. I think
ah,
that would go really well because it suits the setting of the book.
okay.
Yeah. Uh, if I had to pick a children theme wala song, I would say Tare Zameen Par Bum Bum Bole would be a really nice.
Oh, Mambole. I like it. It's kind of
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
Somehow for me, it is a song as Choti Si Asha. Because, that
Oh yes. Yeah.
aspiration with cuteness, the village set up with Choti
Yeah.
Si
Yeah.
Asha.
And that is also a great song. Yeah. And we have already picked three songs. See. Okay. My next question to you is. Now I have the next two questions are a crossover between our universes, which is love and melodrama universe and Kanmani and company universe. So my first question in that is, the gang attends one of Gayatri's dance movements or performances. What do you think fascinates them the most about it and why?
So I think each one would have a different reaction based on their personality. Subru would be like, I'm bored, when is lunch? Srijit would be like, I wish we had played football instead. Sita would be like, oh my god, she's a heroine. I want to be like her. I have to go and meet her after this performance. Kanmani would be supportive. She'd be like, yeah, it's a good dance. She's really great. But I'm just here for my friend. 'Cause, yeah, that's the kind of vibe. And Parani would have been, oh wow, it's a packed auditorium. This is a great place to release my frog. That
Yeah.
would be the thought process of each of them. The true blue fan would be Sita. She would be totally floored by Gayatri. Kanmani would support her, and the rest of the boys would be like, where's lunch, where's football?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where are my frogs?
Yes, actually, I can now just imagine the scene unfolding like that. Yeah, exactly. It would happen like that. Sita would be totally odd, and the others would be like, "We are only here to,
Then the main decks would be doing Pinga Tupuri with her on the stage.
Yes, exactly. Okay, your turn.
Okay, this one I'd have to change it a little because I'd asked, you'd already spoken about it. It's about that unexpected twist. So my question is this, now you've gotten feedback from your readers, right? From me, also kind of say where we said that wouldn't you, so based on this feedback, would you have ever thought of rewriting that ending and giving a happily ever after? Because I personally, as a reader, I think they earned it. I mean, they went through so much, so I think they earned it. So would you give, you have those fan fictions where you have an alternate ending,
Yeah.
like in an alternate universe. So would you ever consider that for Varun and Gayatri?
Mhm. Maybe a fan fiction. I did try at the first year anniversary of the book of LNMD. I did do a little writing challenge for the readers because a lot of them were like, "We want to give an alternate ending." So I was like, "You write your own ending," and a lot of them came up with very creative endings for Gayatri and Varun. So yeah, there a fan fiction for a happy ending for Gayatri and Varun already exists out there in the universe.
So
Okay,
good.
my next question to you, and the last one is that the gang, which is Kanmani and Company, gives
Huh.
both Gayatri and Varun a nickname. What kind of names would they come up with and justify their choices?
So here's the thing, right? That's just a bunch of 9-year-old, 10-year-olds, and they're not probably going to do hashtag Gavar, yeah, Gaivar. I don't know what it is. They're not going to do those hashtags. They'll probably call Gayatri Heroine Akka because she Akka means sister in Tamil, and they will probably call Varun Hero. Right? That's because he's so good looking and tall and all that, right? So they're probably going to call them hero and heroine, and that's about it. Because they're just too innocent. They're just a bunch of kids who are, yeah, not into shipping or anything. So yeah, and I think Sita would be the most fascinated with Gayatri because of the way she's very pretty, she's a dancer, all of that, and yeah, probably that's about it.
That bring just a question that popped up in my head. Who out of the boys do you think would be most fascinated with Varun?
None. He doesn't play football. He doesn't have any pets. So, no, none. I don't think they would. I think we would be swooning over him, but the village kids, I don't think so much. I think, in contrast, they might. Who would they like? They probably might like Abhi. He's a more of an outgoing personality, more dramatic, dancing, and all that. So they probably would like Abhi more than
Yeah,
Varun.
that is
Varun is too sobo, sophisticated boy.
uh, true. Yes, he's actually quite boring if you look at it from a different angle. Yeah.
He fits the rom-com hero mold, but not so much as the in the
Yeah.
village fanboy mold.
Yes. He's very straightforward. Like, like he can be fit into a square very, very
Yeah,
nicely. Abhi is
सीधा
like,
साधा है.
huh. Abhi is somebody who can be out of the box.
Who's a bit naughty, a bit yeah, fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Your last question.
So, any do's and don'ts for writers of romance? This is a question relevant to writing.
There are a lot of writers out there who feel that they can do a genre without being a fan of the genre. And I
Yeah,
am not a supporter of that theory. I do believe that once you have consumed a certain amount in a genre, you are bound to know what the do's and don'ts are naturally. Because you
yeah,
have seen enough number of romance movies, you have read enough number of romance books to know what works for you as a reader. You
yeah.
know when you were irritated with a particular character, you know when you didn't like a particular twist, you know what kind of personality growth you want to see in the character and what arcs you want to include. So the biggest do that I would say is be a fan of the genre. If you are not even a fan, at least read a couple of books before attempting the genre. That's what I would say is the
Okay.
biggest do. And the biggest don't, I would say, is that, don't fall into stereotypes. Try to include your own, quirkiness into the story. Don't simply do what everyone else does. Do have something unique of your own in the story.
Okay.
Yeah. I know
Okay.
it is safe to fall into a trap where you are following what the general consensus is about the genre, but it's always better to have something unique of your, like your own personality, your own trait that stands out in the market.
Yeah.
Like people would know that this is written by you.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, that brings us to the end of the rapid fire question. Now, since you have
Yeah.
already played the Fitmel bingo in the previous episode, we are going to do the love and melodrama bingo. I'm quickly
Okay.
pulling it up. The last segment of the episode, as you know, is
Yeah.
always the gaming section. So I am pulling up the love and melodrama bingo. And now I have divided this into sections. The first section is called dreams and drama. And the first question I have for you here is, have you ever pursued a passion your family didn't fully understand?
Writing. Nobody else writes in my family. I
True.
am the writer.
Yeah, I relate to that totally. Okay, next one. Have you ever felt overshadowed by someone more accomplished?
All the time. I feel so insignificant. I see these one book like debut authors becoming like super famous and successful, and I'm like, Mera number kab aayega? So all the time.
On that note, I'm going to take this opportunity to congratulate you for winning the Arthropod Award for the debut. I
Thank
think
you.
that stands as an achievement and a milestone for you also. So,
Thank you so
and you are also doing it your way.
much.
Okay, next one. Have you ever romanticized your own struggle?
All the time. My brand of humor is self-deprecating. Like I'm always making fun of myself, saying that how I went from my high-paying finance job to being jobless but happy because of my passion. So I'm always like, making fun of myself because I think it's safer to laugh at yourself than to laugh at someone else. So
True,
yeah.
yeah. True, true. I think you answered this, but I'm still going to ask you. Have you ever used humor to hide your hurt?
Oh God, yes. They say, right, the happiest faces are masks, and behind that, you see a lot of pain. I have used humor as coping mechanisms many times, like to cover my hurt. I'm just saying some stuff, but yeah, I'm hurting deep down.
Yeah, I think a lot of writers do that. You do use humor and sarcasm and
Yeah,
assassinate to hide the hurt. Yeah. Okay, next one. Have you ever chosen responsibility over your dream?
definitely. Because there are some times when I have to step back, and this has been whether it's corporate or whether it is writing, when I have other priorities, like motherhood priorities, that comes first. So that's generally yeah, how it's been. So yes, I have.
Okay, next one. Have you ever secretly wished someone would notice you?
Yes, publishing houses.
Yeah, yeah, that's what also I can relate to. Yes.
Hello, I'm the writer. Please notice me, choose me. I know it sounds very needy, but choose me, pick me.
Yeah, we all become pick me when it comes to such things. Yeah, so it's okay. Okay, next one. Have you ever proved someone wrong out of pure stubbornness?
All the time, I have to like. People call me a mini FBI. Somebody says something, I have to go to multiple forums, Instagram, LinkedIn, to prove that I'm right. So yes.
Nice. Okay, and the last one in this particular segment. Have you ever tied your identity to a single passion?
I don't think so. So, I mean, not consciously, no. I mean, while I am a writer, I'm also no. I was also in finance before that. So, I don't think I have consciously done it. Maybe it's something that's happened over time, but no. Otherwise, I've done different things at different points of time.
Okay. And the next segment in this bingo is the Mumbai energy, where I will be asking you questions related to the city or other things. First one: have you ever traveled across the city for someone you liked?
So, any city?
Any city, yes.
No, they've traveled to meet me.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we've always done that. Yeah, and probably so. Yeah.
Hey, I know my worth. Come and meet me. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, next one. Have you ever fallen for someone from a completely different social world?
Let me explain my love story before you ask me these questions. I
Yeah.
come from a very conservative. If you think Kulkarnis were conservative, mine is conservative on steroids. I had an arranged marriage. I met my husband for 2 months before I got married and engaged. So, I mean, first engaged and married, sorry. So, this doesn't apply to me. There's a not applicable column, not applicable. Yeah, and the person I was talking to who crossed this ready to come, that was my husband. So,
Oh, nice. Okay, next one. Oh, have you ever felt small in someone else's privilege?
all the time. Like sometimes you wish you were someone else somewhere else, particularly if you're going through a painful time. You wish like why me? And you wonder why the fates are so cruel and some people have it easy and some people don't. And I guess it's a very human emotion.
Yeah. Next one. Have you ever had a life-changing conversation past midnight?
I don't stay awake that often. So no. midnight के बाद मैं सो जाती हूँ तो कौन सा conversation? No.
Okay. Okay, we have the next segment, which is about the festivals. And the
Sorry, I'm
first,
so boring today. I'm extremely boring today. But
not at all. Not at all. Okay, first one in the festival segment is have you ever realized you liked someone during a festival or celebration? Again,
I
no, yes.
realize I have disliked many people during a festival because they're so bossy and they say ऐसा करना है वैसा करना है उसके बाद ये लगवाओ वो लगवाओ cleaning मुझे करना है so I have ended up disliking more people in a festival than liking.
Yeah, that is true. Yes, the true colors coming out. Yes. Next one. Have you ever pretended not to care in a public setting?
Yes, sometimes it becomes a matter of pride, right? Like you're hurt, but then you pretend that you don't care because you don't want people to know that you're hurt. It's a kind of a cover up or a camouflage mechanism.
Next one. Have you ever caught someone looking at you when you weren't supposed to notice?
Yes, the ticket conductor on the day when I didn't have the ticket. So you can imagine the emotions.
Yeah. Okay, and the last one. Have you ever cried over something at a public setting?
Oh God, I am a cry baby. I cry at the theater. I cry in the bus. I cry for no reason at all the time. I'm just a very emotional person and it just comes to me and I feel better. Yeah.
Okay. And the last segment is about romance, ego, and mellowing. The first question here is have you ever softened because someone treated you gently?
Yeah, I'm like, I mean, like if a publisher says I'm slightly interested in your manuscript, I'd be like, can I sign all my property papers to you? Because I of course,
Uh,
I remember I don't have property papers, but still, it's a thought that counts. So, yeah.
yeah.
The slightest bit of kindness, then I kind of, yeah.
Okay. Next one. Have you ever mistaken silence for indifference?
Sometimes I know, like, and particularly when you're a parent, you realize that when they are growing older, that they want space. Then sometimes you get a bit offended, thinking that they're indifferent, but it's just that they want some time to reorganize their feelings. So often, yeah, many a time.
Okay. And the last one and the bingo for today is have you ever mellowed down without even realizing it?
No one's ever told me that I've mellowed down. They've only said I've gone more hyper and hyper and hyper. So I don't know. I am me. I'm awesome. मैं अपनी favorite हूँ बस.
Nice. And you were saying you were boring in this bingo. I mean, you were hilarious, I think. And you have done well. I mean, there were a few no's here. I think more than in the Fitmelt bingo, but you have done well, fairly well.
Thank
Well
you.
done. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. I'm quickly going to show everyone the book again. This is the book that we discussed. This is Lalitha's second book, and it is for young adults. Go check it out. I mean, it is for all ages, but the characters are young adults. So go check it out. Really fun book. Yeah, and that is my rom-com that she has read. I mean, I don't want to generalize and call it rom-com. People are calling it more
Because
drama.
it's not a rom-com, it's a romance.
So go check out both the books and yeah, do follow us on social media. Hope you all had fun. Thank you so much, Lalita. Before I let you go, I have to ask you, when are you coming up with the next book so I can have you again?
Soon, hopefully. Let us see. I don't know. I'll let you know. Sure.
Yeah.
The last
So
time I came, it was lucky because I'm back with another book. So hey, who knows? Maybe the next book will come soon.
yeah, right, sending it out to the universe that we can do it soon again. And looking forward to your next one. This episode will be available on my Instagram and YouTube. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Lalita. Bye. Have a great
Bye.
week. Bye.
You too. Bye.